welcome to another episode of I Am Negan, a TWD Universe podcast. My name is Adam Vale. I am a senior editor over at thekoalition.com, and I'm joined by editor-in-chief Richard Bailey Jr. What's up?
What's up, Adam? What's up, listeners and viewers?
And throwdowns, Carlos Romero.
Yo, yo, yo.
All right, people, we are back. We gave heads up for the last was episode 6 that weren't sure if we were gonna be around in time for episode 7. I was out of town. Rich was out of town, so we are doing a double header right now. So this will have episode 7, which is More Than You Know, and episode 8, which is All I See Is Red. So we are combining the two. And I think this is the first time in how many years we've been doing this show that we've done that. So, but you know what? Fear makes it easy for us because it's been pretty bad. So there's not much that we have to worry about when it comes to takeaways. What was that? It sounded like we would say something.
One correction. This is episode 5 and 6.
What? That's right. 5 and 6.
Yeah.
What number did I say? I jumped the gun. What number did I say?
6 or 7 and 8, right?
All right, 7 and 8. Damn, what the hell was I watching? Oh, you know what I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of Silo. Because I just watched Silo. Have you been watching Silo?
No.
Really good.
Nope.
That's good. It's based off a book, but it reminds me of like a Fallout type of Fallout, Bethesda's Fallout, like where you're in the vault and everyone's in these silos underground for decades and decades, and it's really good. And then some people go, if you say you want to leave, they kick you out, and then they watch on a big screen to see what happens because nobody knows really what it's like outside. But from what they were told from the stories and the generations, that everything has just been everything's just destroyed. I mean, they don't really go too much into what happened. We're still trying to figure this out, but they just finished episode 8. Really good show. Really good show. Apple TV. You can check that out. But yeah, so this is, as you know, Fear the Walking Dead. That's what we're going to be covering. And then once this is done, though, we're excited because we got Dead City. Dead City. That is going to be fantastic. Watch the first episode. I'm going to rewatch it, and then we'll come back later on and we'll cover that. But that's really good. But anyway, this is it, 5 and 6, like Rich said, and we're now into the mid-season break. So it's going to take some time before they come back, and then we'll see the next half. But let's just, again, if you haven't seen this episode, we are going to spoil it. We're going to discuss it. This isn't going to be a play-by-play. We're just going to grab the key parts that you need to know. Not like there's much you need to know, because things have been pretty rough. This has been pretty rough. But there are some takeaways and stuff that you would expect happen when a series is coming to an end. So that's what we're going to be doing. So if you haven't watched it, you can go on AMC Plus. You can watch it. Or if you have it on your DVR, if it was on AMD proper, you can watch it there. This should be, I think we'll release this probably an hour or so before the episode 6, All I See Is Red airs, and that's on the 18th. That's a Sunday. All right, so yeah, there you go. If you watched it and then you see this, then maybe you get the same thoughts that we got. All right, so we're all there, same page. 3, 2, 1. Boop. All right, so episode 5. What was the key takeaway? Rich, what happened? You know what happened, right?
Yeah.
Grace died. Right? Grace
Yeah.
died. That's all anybody needs to know about that episode. Grace has died. Now, I saw murmurings before, and I know Carlos was like, oh, you're going to spoil it. But I did see some stuff that people said, oh, this is the turning point because a key member of the cast is going to leave. It's like, okay, fine. Makes sense. It's coming to an end. You expect these type of things, unless it's Walking Dead proper, which used to kill people off all the time until they got to the final season. I'm like, nah, we're done with that. And we don't count Rosita because that was her choice. That was her choice, the actress's choice to leave the show. She wanted to get killed off because she noticed. She looked at the script. Hey, nobody dies. Let's do this. Let's make this happen. But anyway, yeah. So we had a feeling that it was going to come to that. But still, it doesn't make a lot of sense with the Mo situation where, and what I mean makes sense is they're trying to show, the showrunners, the writers are trying to pull the feels. Right? That's what they're really trying to get. They want to pull the heartstrings, but it doesn't work. At least for me, I'll get to you guys in a second about this, but I don't feel the connection between Mo Morgan and Grace, especially because of the time jump, and that we know that they had no contact for 7 years. I can't put in my mind and just say, wow, this makes total sense that you guys are so super into each other and the love is there and you want to hold hands and all this stuff. No. For what? 7 years? You guys are strangers to this girl. And when they said that they also pretty much split Grace and Morgan, that also made no sense. And we heard that earlier for the season. It didn't add up. So the whole time while they have that moment where Mo is trying to help bring Grace to the train to get her treatment, and she gets on the little pumping cart on the tracks. I'm like, what am I watching? Is this a cartoon? I said, none of this makes sense. She's on the boat. They're doing all this stuff like she's this 8-year-old girl, is racing to save her mom. It didn't work for me, man. All right, Rich, how'd it go for you?
I also did not really feel that much of a connection for the reason that you said. One thing that is universal about this show, everybody is complaining about the Mo's acting. Obviously,
there is no acting. There is no acting. She's just talking. She's talking to the actors. Everyone else is trying to win an Oscar, especially Lenny. I'm blanking on his last name, but the actor plays Morgan. Kills it. He's killing it all the time. He's like going above and beyond. He's acting above his position. The guy is doing especially in the next episode we'll get into. But go ahead.
Well, I have a comment to say about towards the end of this episode. I'm not going to say it now. I'll wait till we're close to the end of this recap for this particular episode. But I didn't really, we already knew that Grace was going to die because we already saw last season what happened with her. The last time with the radiation and the fact that you thought she was going to die at that point when she was going to give birth, all this other stuff, and it didn't happen. So I knew once she got bit, she's going to die. But I didn't like the fact that they dragged it out the entire episode.
They've been teasing her death since her introduction. Remember? She was a scientist and she was her husband already had died from everything. And she felt that she was going to die. So there was no reason for her to get attached to Morgan and all that other stuff. And they kept, teasing it, like you said.
But the minute she told him in the previous episode that it came back, it's cancer, you knew the character was going to die anyway. So at that point, they have this whole thing of, well, at least we can spend a little bit of time together as a family, so on and so forth. But you knew that this was going to happen. So I wasn't surprised in that particular outcome. I know there are some people, and listen, I give the actress credit. She did an excellent job as Grace. I saw the little conversation they had with the director and stuff. Obviously, they really put her out in a good way as far as taking her off the show. So that's fine. Her performance was great. I just think that they dragged it out for too long, the entire episode. You knew what the outcome was going to be. And the whole thing about when it came down to choosing whether or not to save Grace or the son, what is it? What's the son's name?
Well, it was Mo. Because remember she was
the white son. The white son. What is his name?
Dwayne. Finch. Yeah.
Finch. Yeah. It came down to choosing between Finch. I already knew that they were going to say, we'll have her go save Finch. So, but I wasn't really surprised of the outcome
because she was giving her the treatment at that point. Mo was giving the radiation, doing the whole thing, and she was still burning up. Yeah, and so there was like no point for June to rush over there to. Oh man! All right, so Carlos, what did you think? Did you enjoy all that? Did this make sense? Did it pull your heartstrings? Were you getting teary-eyed? What? Because I know that's what they were going for.
The whole situation, I don't know, man. These last two episodes were by far the worst for me. It's the whole thing. I agree with the stuff that you guys have mentioned earlier with Mo and just that dynamic between the Mo and Morgan and Grace. Since like it just feels all that it's really forced. To be honest. And most of this will be in the next episode when we talk about the next episode. But some of the stuff with Morgan, man, I don't know. But yeah, obviously we know why they did this. They needed to kill someone off. I don't know about the contractual stuff, so I can't really discuss that. But yeah, not a huge fan. Did not tug on my heartstrings. It just didn't make sense. And and we'll talk later about the decisions that Mo has made in the last couple of episodes, man. Because it's this is like not even, this is like a comedy to me. It doesn't seem serious.
No.
See, it is a comedy, and obviously we'll touch upon this more later. But like I said, I'm not intimidated by Padre whatsoever. That's why I asked the question from the beginning of what would make anyone think these people are so powerful they could separate the kids from the parents. They never told us any of that. It was all because, we heard over a recording someone saying we need to come here. This is the place we need to come for protection. But they didn't really dive into any of that stuff. They just glossed over it, and then they jumped ahead without explaining a lot of certain details. That's why I don't really take the enemies serious, and I don't really care too much about what happens to the characters.
It all feels rushed. It's like they're trying to cram everything in. And who knows? Maybe they did. Maybe they presented AMC. It was like, hey, this is all of this season, and then this is for the next season, and we got these 2 seasons. And then they're like, well, hold on. You do you're getting canceled. You're ending at the end of this season. So just squish it together. That's it. It's done. Wrap it up. Because it's too much, like you just said, with the whole thing with the parents, and then the flip-flopping with these parents is true. But from Daniel saying we've been searching for 7 years trying to find this island, to now everybody knows exactly where it is. To trying to figure out where this train is, everybody knows where that train is now. The parents, like you said, what's their story? What's happening? Well, we heard from Morgan saying that, yeah, he was also collecting kids from these other groups, but he wasn't just snatching them. He was telling these parents, hey, you're starving. You're in a bad spot. I know a safe place for your kids to go. Well, why didn't you bring the parents also? Because it looks like this place could use some adults, because they're relying heavily on Mo, who's, 8 years old, to do everything? That makes no sense. Between Sam and Crane, I'm blanking on her, and now it's funny. I always remember her bird name, and now I remember her actual name, the Sam, the brother and sister Padres.
Yeah,
and remember, and that was her whole thing. It was like, so it just doesn't add up. It's like you have other people. What happened to all the people that June was like shooting? I mean, chopping off their trigger fingers. Remember that those were adults. Those weren't the kids. What happened to them? They're gone. All we see now is like this group of kids that are gathered around doing. They were on the tracks blocking Mo, so no, you can't save her, blah blah blah. And then the same thing when they showed up with the Padre twins. That's what we're just gonna call them. And they were like, oh well, we need Morgan, we're going to take her from you, and we need you to go over there and into the crates, and you need to clear out the canisters because we need our supplies in there. And there's a bunch and again, they gave them another dumbass name. They're walkers. Just be consistent with that. I understand they want to make it sound like all these other groups come with their own names for these things. Hey, just call them walkers. Just stick with that, because I couldn't deal with all the bullshit names. And even toward the end of the last episode, they would still flip-flopping on the names. Oh, Mockingbird, you mean Morgan? Oh, stop. This is the end of the series, and you're trying to confuse viewers with these different names and with all the bird names and it was too much. But that episode right at the end, where they were like, all right, well, Moses, you know what, don't worry, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna clear that area out myself. And they were like, yeah, I'm with you. She's 8 years old. She's a little kid. I don't care how badass you want to make her. They showed this cancer full, and that's another thing that made no sense, that all these years have passed. And now the Padre kids say, you know what, I wish we had those coordinates that Dad had on him. Maybe we should get those, because it seems like they left his body there. Remember when he got pulled down? They left him there. And so that's it. And they just never went back in there to try to get him. How did they know the coordinates were in the binoculars? Because if you remember, that wasn't the reason why the son went running out to bring the binoculars to his dad. He just noticed, oh, my dad left the binoculars here. I have to go bring them to him. He didn't say, oh, well, he hides the coordinates to one of the other locations in one of the optics there. That made no sense.
By the way, I do want to mention that I was right. They were in Texas.
Well, he said Texas. That was in this episode we find out how he made his way to Texas, Morgan. Yep.
But yes, it's all wishy-washy. A lot of the stuff. It's like the kids. What do they call them?
They had another name for them too. Yeah, the prefix. Oh, and then everybody's automatically name dropping all these terms as if it's canon. Everyone knows this stuff. All right, the prefixes are here. All this is no. We just found out about this stuff like 2 episodes ago. And then I was like, we're supposed to all know what's happening. Even the groups and Daniel talking about it. He didn't even know what happened to these kids. And the parents. And he keeps talking about the parents. The parents are mute. We don't hear any of them saying, wow, let me see, which one of my kids? Is that my kid? Besides that one situation we had with Dove. That was it. After that, I guess no one knows if they're connected to any of these little monsters that are running around right there with the PADRE twins. And that's the other thing. So I think that's pretty much it for this part, at least, because now I'm about to venture off into the next one. So what did we have at the end? Go ahead. Go.
No, go ahead, because I have something to say about the end of this episode.
Because at the end of it, we have Morgan is in the train, locked up in there, right? In the train car. And he's screaming because Mo is now headed off with her little crew to go clear off all the walkers that are in the canisters so they can get the supplies they need, so that way they can go and get to the ship. Or they were saying, now I'm thinking the ship, we'll probably see later on, but I'm thinking if that's the ship that we saw from last season, remember when they would put the hood on them and then they would get in the little boat from the boathouse, and there was that one scene where the camera like panned out like a drone shot, and you see like a ship, like a military ship further out. So I was saying, and remember we thought before this, and we thought that was PADRE. We're like, it's PADRE is going to be like a military ship, and that's why no one can find it because they're always moving or whatever. But I don't know. But it was all supposedly in the coordinates in there, and then that was it. That's where that ends off, and then we'll jump in there. But you said you had something to say. Go for it.
Yeah, so right before, I just want to address something. Right before Morgan, he gets locked in on the train. He obviously is struggling to try to get closer, try to get back to Mo. Right there with Shriek and her guards right there. Now, let me just say this. You made the comment earlier that Lenny James is an excellent actor.
Yeah.
He is an excellent actor, but the writing is complete garbage. Because when he had that whole conversation with her where Shriek could have killed him, he says, "Oh, well, I can't die." Now, if I was on this show, I would have killed Morgan right then and there. And that would have been it, because you wouldn't have seen it coming. He kept saying, "Oh, you're not going to kill me," and she didn't kill him because
Lenny Henry,
the villain.
It's Lenny Henry. What? It's not Lenny James.
Lenny Henry, if I remember correctly.
Nah. It is Lenny James, because I'm looking at IMDb right now.
Confusing it with someone else.
Oh no,
yeah, Lenny James. If you look him up, it's Lenny James. That's actually.
But the point I'm making is that it's horrible writing, because that's the reason you're going to try to say, "Oh no, you're not going to kill me, and I never die. People around me suffer, but I never die." So she decides to, let me lock him up in there. Let me leave his weapon right out here on the ground, not thinking that he'll ever get out or that he can never come after me. That this is the type of stuff I would see if I'm watching a kid's cartoon, where the enemy says the whole plan, and then that's it. The good guy escapes, and he ends up catching up to the bad guy.
It's like the old Batman live action with Adam West. Same thing. All right, we're gonna lock him in this room and leave him, and we'll think he died. Who knows? Probably make it out. Whatever.
Yes. So. That I had an issue with. Now, you say you're going into episode 6.
Let's go. All right, you go.
Let me just start by saying this. This was by far the worst edited episode that I have ever seen of Fear the Walking Dead. And Morgan helped him to edit the episode because he was the one that had these, getting crazy. But continue.
It was so bad. So bad. I was just going to say, I was like, it was so bad. Just the cuts. So here we are. This is episode 6. It's like, all I see is red. And that was the point. We were supposed to see, if you remember back, first season, and this was a lot of callbacks. Past few episodes been callbacks where he went nuts after the whole thing happened with his wife and his son. He just lost it, and that's when Rick Grimes found him, and he was crazy and hearing things and writing stuff on the walls and all this stuff. So it's supposed to be that he now has fallen back into that realm because Grace has died and now he's lost it. And they would do these fast flashes, right? It's like, oh, and it red, and then when he comes to, everything around him has changed. And that was so annoying because once this episode starts, we see him just screaming and swinging and doing all this stuff. And Madison just magically is there. And it's like, oh, calm down. It's like, where's my axe? Where's my axe? It's like, I had to take it away from you. You attacked me. I attacked you. You were killing all the walkers. But she was calling them by the other name too. She wouldn't even call them walkers. I was like, what? What are you going to do one of these jumps? Because they've done that before where we're waiting for a big buildup of a battle or some kind of confrontation. And then when the next episode starts, it already happened. And it's a fast jump because they didn't feel like, maybe it was production, they couldn't show it, they couldn't do it. And I got nervous. I'm like, oh, is this what just happened? He got out of the train car, ran over there, past Mo and everybody, killed all of these workers, and then went into such a rage that he zoned out. Go ahead, Rich.
Yeah. What you said is 100% correct. I didn't like the quick cuts. I understand what they were trying to do from a creative standpoint. But the problem is the way in episode 5 ends, you see Morgan trapped on the train. When this episode starts, he's outside. So it just, to me, it's like they could have at least shown at least one scene of him leading to this point where he loses his mind. And then after that, you have all these instances of him, all the cuts that they put in there. But they just started right from the very beginning. And that's why I say that's very confusing, because I remember I sent you both a text after I saw that. I said, that's a way to easily confuse the audience, because if somebody saw the previous episode, they're going to be like, well, Morgan was just locked up. How the hell did he get out that fast at the start of this episode? It just doesn't make any kind of sense. But I know what they were going for. I don't think it was effective because of how it started out. And then the fact that he comes back and he forgets everything that happened. Like, I don't ever recall seeing that happening with Morgan, where he just forgets everything that happened beforehand.
No.
That was something that they created to say he's losing his mind, and they really wanted to emphasize that in the episode.
Yeah, and it was just too much of it, because then I'm trying to figure out. I'm like, well, she found you, Madison, saying, "Oh, well, you killed all these walkers." So did he do it? They do everything, and then they were like, "Oh, no, there's still more." But Mo is now leading all of them away. Oh, I gotta go find her. You can't find her because you're too violent, and going back and forth. And then it's like, all right, well, maybe you can find her. All right, let's go. And there was so much rubber band back and forth. When they meet up with Daniel and the parents, and they were like, all right, well, we got him on the walkie-talkie. What's going on? It's like, well, Mo is leading them further off, and we find out that she's leading them to the little swamp, what was it? The riverboat, the houseboat. Mm-hmm. Out of all places, why would she lead them to a houseboat that is sinking? Or at least from what we thought from last week, so had sunk. Why? That makes no sense.
Well, you know why, right? Because they already had the space. They had to use it again.
They had to use the set. They had to reuse the set. That's it. That was the worst. Right there made no sense. And it was like, then man said, well, I don't really know where it is. Like, all right, give me one. No, I can't give you up. You're too violent. You're gonna attack everybody. And it was like, oh, okay, this whole thing, I can't do it. Forget that, I guess. And then once Daniel comes over, starts talking about it. It's like, well, yeah, we're all ready. We'll back you up. I mean, it was like, okay, you know what? You can come along. He's like, no, you said I can't. You even said it. I can't. And they're arguing. It's like, one minute he's for, next minute he can't go. And then they say, oh, no, but we do need you. We need you to guide us. Yep. And the same thing. He starts blacking out. He starts swinging this stuff. And then when they cut back, he's in quicksand. He's in quicksand, and you don't see anybody else. And you see Madison's air canister there, because she has the breathing issues. So he's like, oh man, I killed everybody. I killed the
Well,
I don't.
Well, that also served another purpose of him getting rid of the air canister, because now all of a sudden Madison doesn't have breathing issues the rest of the episode.
Yeah. They just scrapped that. They scrapped that part. They were like, you know what? She adapted. She's okay now. And then that's the other part that made no damn sense. Because then finally he gets out. He's on the walkie-talkie, which these batteries are forever. These are some badass walkie-talkies, and the range, it's top notch. Who makes these things?
And everyone is listening to the exact same thing.
They're on the same frequency. They're all, because then you hear Shriek, the twins, with her brother now and the crew, and they're trying to get to where Mo is, because the father who had the binoculars was in that canister, and since she led them away, like the Pied Piper, she led them off. They need to get to the binoculars, so that way they can get the coordinates to go to the next location. So now they're trying to find Mo, and then with Morgan and everybody's, and it was just like so much back and forth. Eventually they find them, and then they go in another direction because they come across the kids, and Daniel and the parents are gonna like try to talk some sense to the kids. Daniel's like, I was once a lost kid too. Let me talk some sense. And then later on, we see they're all on their knees. They're about to get executed. So I was like, well, you did a bad job trying to talk to these people. And then by the time that Mo gets over to, Morgan gets to Mo at the boathouse. What are you doing here? I want you out of my life. That's why I did this. This is Mo. Stay away from me. All this stuff. I don't understand what's happening here. And then they're about to die, and so she's blaming him for everything. And see, now we're both gonna die. And then he finds the air canister that was left there for who knows how long ago, from when Madison had that breathing problem there, and she left the canister. So then he gives it to her and says, "Here, you're gonna breathe. Go underwater. Get out of here. And you'll make it. It's just me." And then he started raging again. And then they come back, and Mo is gone, and Madison is there, and then there's all dead walkers. And he's like, where's Mo? Okay, no, I got you out. Why? What? I had it under control. It's like, no, you didn't. And I had to pull you out. He got saved again. But then again, another blackout. What is going on? And then with the flip-flopping, like I just mentioned, with 1 minute Mo wants him, next minute she doesn't. Then 1 minute they don't want Morgan around, he's a danger. Next minute they're handing the axe. And, oh my God. It was too much.
It's man, this episode was something else, man. And it's like the whole within one episode, Morgan's like, I want you to come back with me, and she's like, no, and he's like, I want you to stay away from me. No,
I want to be with you.
Like, I want you to be free. No, I want you to stay with me. Okay.
Oh, too much. Then when they finally do get back, and we see Shriek, which is the sister Sam, and she's about to the same thing. She's about to shoot Morgan and do that whole thing, right? And because they were like, no, I know your dad's here. I know the binocular guy. He's over here. So she had made her way over there, and then next, sure enough, out of all the walkers, they're all dead except Dad. Dad Walker is the only one coming out of the swamp. She sees him, and but
continue. No, I'll go after you.
Yep. And then she breaks down crying, oh daddy. And then he gets a nice few good bites out of his daughter. And there goes that. He gets a chomp. And then Madison and Morgan were like, all right, well, he got his fill, so let's put him down. But she's still alive. And then they take her to the train yard, so then that way June can do her own little torture, and we'll get to that part. But that alone, that scene there also made no damn sense, because of like the whole point that you knew your dad was a walker. You knew it. Don't say all these years, and then now she sees him like this, and it's like, oh, I'm so sorry, And they tried to justify it later on. She had this revelation, and this whole no, come on. Go ahead, Rich.
So I just want to say, I like how, just like Morgan's son Dwayne survived all these years, that the father also survived all these years. So it is very convenient writing, because he was nowhere near where they actually was at in this episode. So it's very interesting how they found a way to say, okay, like if let's say that they pretty much earlier in the episode, we saw Morgan come to the area he was supposed to clear. If the father was over there, that would make sense because that's where he actually died, right? So I think it's interesting how all of a sudden he's actually is right here. And of course, I wasn't really surprised that he was going to kill his daughter. I mean, I actually thought that made sense because
well, he's a walker.
Yeah. No. I thought that made sense though, as far as how they took her out, because she did not want the parents and the kids to have any type of relationship because of the hurt that she went through when they saw their father get killed. So it is only fitting that the father, as the walker, comes back and kills her. I thought that made sense. It's only unfortunate that he also didn't kill the son because the son was still alive at the end of this episode.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the other part of this. Is that once Morgan and Madison make it back to that area, we see that Mo is already there with everybody. She found her group. She's happy, and she sees that they have all the parents on their knees, and Crane is telling the rest of the kids, hey, shoot him, and then they're scared to shoot, and he has a gun pointed right at Daniel's head. I'm like, why don't you lead by example? If you're such a tough guy, then you shoot. They kill another main character off. This is it. Go for it. And he doesn't do it. But he tells all the other ones, Hawk. There was one named Hawk. Hawk, what's your name? Hawk. Do it. Kill. He starts screaming all this stuff. And he doesn't do it. It made no sense.
Yeah, I don't know. The whole the logistics thing of what's their name? Mo going from one place to the other, where supposedly the swamp was surrounded by like tens of thousands of carry-ons, and now somehow they're all she's just getting scotch-free because she swam under some portion of them. But yeah, it's man, this is probably the worst episode of the season, maybe of the series, to be honest. But I haven't seen all of them, so can't really say that. Yeah, it's just not
it was
good.
The only thing I could think of, and we've been watching this a long time. At least Rich and I, we've been watching this from the beginning. We've seen some bad episodes. This is the worst, and it all feels very rushed. This is like, well, we don't have enough time to put everything together, so let's just cram it in here and put a bunch of stuff. But I can't just blame it on that because it has to go in the writing because this story doesn't make any sense. Even if they didn't cram all of this together, it's just still unbelievable that there were all these people that were living on this island, and Padre has been dead. The father has been dead for years, and no one questioned it that they didn't hear him. They just heard him on the intercom, and the kids were running it. And all of a sudden now they're having this breakdown with dad, and now they're having all these issues. What was the end goal then with building this army of kids where we don't see the full army? And I get it, the cast, they couldn't get everybody, but they made it seem like they had hundreds of people and they let them go. They're like, oh yeah, they're off over here, but this is our soldier group, and these are what they're doing, Mo and Dove and everybody. I was like, that doesn't fly. I mean, if this is it, if this is the finals, then just open up the wallet and whatever money you had left over and says, all right, we need those Walking Dead zombie extras. We need a bunch of them. We need to get a bunch of extras because we need to fill it up to make it look like there was a bunch. Because if not, the kids were outnumbered by the parents. At one scene, when we first saw the group with Daniel, remember, he had a good amount. They just showed a bunch of people behind. That could have been the makeup people, a bunch of other people in the back. Doesn't matter. But it's all about the head count. Right now, we saw like 5 kids, and this is it. They were supposed to go and take out all this whole container of walkers. That made no sense.
And they're all led by an 8-year-old.
Yeah, an 8-year-old. They're all relying. They're all talking to her like, oh, well, she's got to be the one. Why her? What made Mo so special? That's what I don't understand.
She is the chosen one, right? That's what they said. She's the chosen one.
I don't. Did they say that? I missed that one then. If that's
no. They didn't say that. That's just
well, that's
bad joke.
It's bad, but you know what? It's all bad because why her is the point. Why her? So they never had any other. Like I thought it was going to be Dove. I really thought that was it. That Dove was the one. Remember, she was the one training Mo. And so I thought it would have been, well, we're all listening to Duff, whatever does. No one was listening to her either. And then when Morgan and Madison come and start talking about the whole thing about life and family and this and this, here's the coordinates. We're going to give it to you, and we don't want anything. And then Duff's like, that's a lie. They're lying. Make up your mind. Make up your mind. You could have just killed all these people, or look, they're going to give you the coordinates. Just leave. They don't want anything. And it's like, they're lying. They're lying. What do they get out of it? What do you mean they're lying? Just go. Take the coordinates and go. It's like it didn't make any sense. It's like the show was trying to develop and build conflict that wasn't there. And that added nothing to it. That was just and they didn't even mention. They should have told Crane. They should say, hey, by the way, we saw from your dad and all that. Your sister got real up close and personal with Daddy. They reunited. If you want to go see her, because then when we do see the next part, once everybody puts the weapons down and the whole thing, that's when we see that June is now over Shriek, and she's bit and all thing, and they got the walker head on the stick and that whole thing. It was like, oh, and she calls up Dwight and Sherry with Finch, and they were like, all right, what do you want? This is your call. How do you want this to happen? And then Finch was like, I wanted to go quick. I don't want her to feel this. And they're like, oh, okay, then I guess that's how this is going. But like what we said, and that's why I wouldn't be surprised if something else happens, is right before she's about to make it quick, the door opens and it's the brother, and he doesn't take out a gun and shoot June, and because that's the other thing you could do, right? Come on, it's the last season. Just I was like, I don't care what you did. You ruined my sister's life, blah, blah, blah. But he does it. He comes and crying. I heard my sister was here. Oh, you heard? You heard she got bit and stuff? You come on now. And then he comes in, he starts crying with her and the whole thing, and then June just leaves. Did that make sense? At this point, are you just like, why? Why is this show failing?
It didn't make sense, but it is what it is. That they're very weak antagonists. So I guess this is how they decided to have them go out. But we'll see if the brother wants revenge later, I guess, but I really don't give a damn if he wants revenge. I'm not convinced that him or his sister were ever a threat from the first place, but they made it look as though they were, but they spent no time building up to tell you why they are considered a threat. All they are is just barking orders at everybody, making them believe that there's someone above them as PADRE, but really it's just them acting in that role. So, that's just a waste.
And it gets worse. It gets worse when they do the one-on-one. Once we see that Dwight and Sherry, Finch has died, right? They're burying him. And then Dwight was like, maybe we shouldn't be together. Maybe it's us. This is the worst writing ever. The worst. Because I'm like, that makes no sense. No sense. Because you gave your kid up for 7 years. You guys both decided through those 7 years not to see each other or act like you were a married couple. Remember? Because they're like, oh no, PADRE, they're against all of that. So that's why we just stood away from each other. And then now that you just lost a child, instead of bonding together and say, you know what, let's just go, let's start a new life, let's just get it, or do something drastic and just end it together. Because like, what's the point at this, right? Where are you going to go? And he says, you know what, I think I'm going to go home, start anew. And then the way Sherry looks like, all right, come on, bring it in. Give me a hug. Yeah, you're right. I swear, man, if I could just like reach into my TV and just shake, I'd get so mad because I'm like, this is horrible. This is horrible. This is not how something like this would go down. None of that. Yeah. None of that.
They spent so much time reuniting this couple together, only for it to end this way. And but I will say this, it made sense for it to be this horrible because you didn't even give Dwight the satisfaction of being the one to kill Shriek. Remember, he was the one when he saw his son get bit, said, I'm going to kill you. So but they didn't even let him do that. So that's why I said
with only that, maybe they could have said that was the reason why June got on the walkie. Maybe that was to tell him, but he gave it up to Finch. He said, Finch, what do you want? Yeah. And then that's when the son make it go quick. But we didn't do it for that either because we don't even know if she died. Who knows? Maybe the brother went and injected with a whole bunch of radiation, and she's gonna get up and start running around for at least a few more hours. We don't know. We did not see her die, so we didn't see her fully turn that like Grace. So, oh man, that was heartbreaking. I could not believe.
Did you guys talk about? I'm pretty sure you mentioned it because I stepped out for like 2 minutes. They just broke up. Dwight.
That's what I'm saying. That made no sense. This is the time you break up.
Literally, their kid died like 2 seconds ago. Hey, let's break up.
Yep. Yeah. This isn't working out. This ain't working out.
That's what he kept saying. He's like, everything we do is just bad. I'm just gonna take off. It's like, all right, where are you gonna go? I'm going home, start anew. Where is she gonna go? What is she gonna do? You don't even think about that. And then just her gesture. I'm telling you, people, if you don't believe me, go back and watch it again. She does like the gesture with the hand, like bring it in for a hug. Like, come on, it's okay. Let's just, and it's fine. Let's just go like this.
Yeah, it's like their whole thing is like we went through hell to find each other, and it's like our kid died, so let's give up and let's leave each other in miserable lives separately.
I thought if they bring this dark, it's Fear the Walking Dead. I thought he was going to turn and they were going to decide like who is going to take him down. And they were like, you know what? No one's going to take him down. And then they just close the door and you just see him just chomping on them both. That's it. Family, stay together, die together, done. That would have been perfect. I would have preferred that ending than this breakup and I'm just going to go back to wherever I'm from. I don't care where you go, Sherry. Maybe you can go back to the people with the creepy baby masks. Remember, you were a cult leader for a little while somewhere. Go back to them if they're still there. Oh, man. That was pure garbage. I hate it, So then that was the first part of this horrible ending when it comes to that. Then the second part, which also made no sense, is we see them at the beach. Now there's a bunch of parents and kids. We don't really see them mingling. So it's no sense of community or like they're trying to fix things here, whatever is happening. I guess Crane is no longer part of the group. He wasn't there. Maybe he decided to stay with his sister in the train. But we see that there's a raft, and that's it. Morgan is leaving with his daughter, and he thanks Madison. Hey, thanks, you helped me, and this and that. We're gonna go, and where are you gonna go? Oh, there was a bunch of good people that I found that I left when I went on this journey, and that's where you got that part, Carlos, where he said to Texas, and he's like, yeah, but I think I need to go back and see them. And help them out, make sure they're okay. And he's done. He's no longer seeing red. He's all calmed out now. Like that whole thing is once that he saw what happened with Shriek and the dad and stuff, that snapped him out of everything. So he's like, yeah, now I got my daughter. We're gonna go back and get on this raft. We got supplies. All right, we're out. What are you gonna do? You're gonna be the leader, right? It's like, yeah, we'll figure something out. And then that's when Cloud Dove walks over to her and says, right, so we got the coordinates. We're gonna go to the ship. She's like, no, I got new plans. And then her new plan is she's gonna get on the walkie-talkie. They're gonna start reaching out to all the other communities, that they had snatched kids from, and tell them to all show up, pack all their stuff. All come over. PADRE is under new management, and now it's going to be what PADRE, the dad, really wanted before the kids screwed everything up because they were just bad kids. And this is it. Everything's going to be peachy creamy. They're going to live together and create a whole new community. Before I go to the third part that was even worse, did this make sense? This is it. This ending part of just seeing Morgan and his daughter on a raft, and now Madison is in control, and Daniel and all these people, they're all going to live together on PADRE, on the island.
Well, Madison's purpose this season was to basically give Morgan faith to basically remain in having a relationship with Mo. That was what her whole purpose is. And now they brought her back, so they have to give her a reason to be on the show. So yeah, she is the one that's going to save all these kids and reunite them with their parents. I mean, I guess that's the whole thing that they're basically saying about her character. But I mean, listen, I thought, like Carlos already said, a horrible episode. So I no longer care about any of the characters on this show. I don't care where the story goes. because to me, it's just like it just doesn't make sense. A lot of stuff doesn't make sense. But I will say we'll see what happens with her. But yeah, I honestly don't care.
Well, the best part is that they don't say months later or whatever, because somehow Morgan, we do see him again, and I thought this would have been the send off. I'm like, oh, he's on the raft, he's gone. We know that he's going back to he's trying to get back to Alexandria, and that's what, Georgia, right?
Yep.
Wasn't that out there in Georgia somewhere? So I'm like, what? That's a trip. But then poof, they don't say a time jump or anything. They just show him now out somewhere over there in that area, because he gets to where he's talking to the grave, and that was for the guy who taught him how to use the staff, right? Wasn't that?
Yeah. The guy who taught him how to use the staff, plus there was a grave for Grace that they made.
Yeah, and the grave. And I was like, how? Unless he brought the body to that. All right, that's a stinky boat ride. Okay.
Yeah, yep.
And then he gives the staff. Yeah, he gives the staff to Mo and says, here, go travel, go do practice your forms over there, right? And he gives this whole little talk, and then he gets on the walkie-talkie, and I don't know if this was to just rub in the salt of the wounds of people that are Walking Dead faithfuls, but for him to come out and says, this message is for Rick Grimes. If it's me, Morgan, and I'm coming to find you, and I'm going to try every day, and I'm going to leave the walkie-talkie on for a few minutes at the end of every call out every day until I find you. And I felt like saying, join the list of people that are looking for this dude, because you're not. I could believe it. And then she even says, she's like, where are we going to go? He's like, we're going to go find him, and we're going to find that community. Let's go. And they get up and they walk off. So then that's it. That's what we're assuming. That's it. That's the lesson we're ever going to see Morgan. He's disappeared, and he's going to go to Alexandria and not find.
So,
yep. Go ahead.
So I just want to make a comment about this. Now, when I saw this ending, I know everybody. I think you have already said that you're excited for Dead City. After I saw this, now I think I'm really going to have a real issue with any of these spinoffs, because I don't want any of this stuff connected if the writing is already horrible on the show that's establishing the connection. The
upside is it's different writing. It's different writers.
Yeah.
That's the upside of this. And who knows? And from the way the showrunners at the end of this had described it, it's done. This was the last time we were going to see Lenny James. He has left the building.
Yep. Yes.
And that was it. I was like, okay. So he's saying that he's on this journey to go find. And then maybe that's where they leave it open-ended. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. You could see him, maybe you don't. But they have no plans right now.
But see, the other thing is, they have no plans. He's off the show. I wanted to give him. I understand they want to give him a good send off and a happy ending. I'm okay with that. But the thing is that they've already told us that Daryl is the one that has been looking for Rick and also wants to get with Rick. So as a fan, I don't think you're going to see both of those things happen.
No, of course not. Everybody's looking. Michonne was looking for Rick. Tons of people look. That's what I'm saying. Is like he's got to join that list. I wish somebody else would have got on that walkie and it was like, you're not gonna find him. We're still looking for him. Come to the Commonwealth. What? It would have been better, because then at least we could know that he's not just wandering in the woods. There's a goal. So whatever. That was horrible. And I was like, all right, well, we're done. And no, they still had another moment. And we hear it's the the radio, and we hear someone talking. Well, it's Madison. And talking about, hey, Padre's under new management. Here's the coordinates. And then we see a hand taking some notes, like writing down the coordinates. And we see aviators, right? And we then see a gun get picked up and it's getting loaded up. So it's clearly not a friend that's en route, because they're showing this. But then I'm thinking, who do we know wears aviators? Now, we've seen a bunch of cast members wear aviators throughout the season, but they're all dead. So I don't know, and it looked like it looked like a white guy, right? Or maybe it could have been a woman. But it definitely wasn't Victor Strand, because Victor Strand wore aviators last season.
So let me respond to that comment first. I think Victor Strand should have got killed last season, because he hasn't been on this season at all. And I know people are going to complain about it if they haven't seen the episode yet. Where the hell is this guy at? They have him credited on every single episode, but here we are, mid-season finale. He's still nowhere to be found. So I kind of feel like,
you know what, he's the big bad, and you know that he is going to be somebody. I wouldn't doubt it if he's at the coordinates for the other ship. Because remember, he could have drifted off and he went to the other location, and he's known for just taking over. He's done that in every location that he's had. He's become either the big boss or second in command, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's it. And he has a ship, and now he wants to go, and he'll take over PADRE as well.
Well, it would make sense, and also the fact that he was the one that was going to war with Alicia before, and then she couldn't really fight. She died shortly thereafter. Yeah. So makes sense for her mother to avenge her, I guess you can say, if it comes to that. But I just think it's ridiculous that this guy hasn't been on the episode. He hasn't been in this entire season. And then the other part of your question was when you said, well, who is this other person? Is it a male or a female? You know what my response is? I don't give a damn who it is.
Damn.
I don't care who it is.
I'll tell you this
because it doesn't matter.
You're right. I was thinking the worst. I was like, please don't let this be Alicia. That this is it. That they convinced the actress. She died. We saw she had the afterlife experience. She wasn't bit anymore, and she was just wandering. And if they decide to scrap that, and people are like, well, they can't just scrap that. They've done it. Madison is dead. This whole thing of her being back is not right. Daniel died in the fire when that house burned down. Come on now. But they needed to bring people back because they had other cast members just get up and leave the show. So they're like, well, we got to do something. We got to fix this. And so it wouldn't surprise me for the final season, for the final 6 episodes, if they bring somebody back that is believed to be dead. And remember, they showed a weird flashback moment, and it was back when Morgan touched the ground, when he was like reminiscing. He was on the grave saying goodbye to Grace, whole thing, and all the flashes of all the people that died. It showed Nick, and I mean, it was just throwing all the people that have died.
Yep.
I think even Travis was on there, and he had died a horrible death, weird death. A stray bullet hit the plane and caught him underneath through the buttocks. Remember? What a way to go! But I have a feeling that's where they're gonna go with this. It can't be a new bad. If it's a new bad, I don't know.
We'll talk about it in the prediction show, because there's a lot of possibilities, and I know Rich has somewhere to be. So I feel like this would be a good cutout, a good tease for the next episode when we do another Fear of Walking Dead.
Well, no, the next one we're not going to be doing Fear of Walking Dead for a while. The next one will be Dead City episode 1. So that will be the next one, and that one is fun. And I'm excited to hear the reactions from everybody from the Walking Dead universe. So everybody see if they're interested, because it's a big change. It's a big change. So I'm curious to see how the universe responds to that. All right, everybody. On that note, we are out. That was it. Fear the Walking Dead. It's just like Morgan in the quicksand, just slipping away. That's what's going on with this. It's just draining away. It was like, everything it's just gonna go down the history of one of those series where someone say, hey, they had a spin-off, Fear the Walking Dead. Sounds like it got a lot of seasons. Yeah, and I'll tell you which ones were good seasons, and don't even bother with the other ones. Because it's sad. It's sad to see it go out like this. I'm so disappointed. So disappointed. Mm-hmm. All right, everybody. Thanks again for the support over on iTunes and on Spotify, and of course over at YouTube and the Koalition with a K. Go ahead, go on the YouTube channel, leave your comments. What did you think? Was this the Butter Show? Were you so happy to see everything end this way? Morgan got his happy ending. Yay. We don't have to see Mo acting anymore. Yay. Who knows? We'll see. All right, man. Talk to you people later. Peace.